All right, everybody, thanks for coming. Again, this is the open house for the Northeast Ward Road, Northeast Davis Road intersection project. My name is Paul Moran. I'm a project manager with Clark County. Been with the county about 2 years now, about the start of this project. So nice to meet everybody. And for those of us joining online remotely, just a couple things to know. This meeting is being recorded. Virtual guests online can use the chat tool to participate and ask any questions or comments. There will be a portion at the end for anybody to ask any questions that are joining us in person as well. So joining us this evening from the team, we have a consultant designer on this project. That's McKay Esposito. Heather Davis is the project manager joining us this evening. And then from the county team, we have Haley Shannon. She's our program assistant with the Community Engagement and Inclusion Office. We have Brett Gallup joining us. He's a real property agent with Real Property Services. So he's the one who helps us out with the right-of-way acquisitions. Any of you own property in the area, you might be hearing from Brett. We also have Josephine Item. She's also a program assistant in community engagement. And Kaylee McLaughlin-Burton. She is the manager for community engagement team. And they're the ones who put on these great events for all these projects we have. They add the information to the websites and send you all the notification mailers as well in the mail. So, and I already introduced myself. So next slide. This is the general overview of the project area. It's also available on the exhibits in the back corner there. Obviously, it's Northeast Ward Road, Northeast Davis Road intersection. The pink lines that you see there, that is the overall, it's called the APE, Area of Potential Effect. Thank you. Area of Potential Effect. And that's just the general, it doesn't mean that's the whole size of the roundabout. That's the area that the work and all the other stuff may impact throughout the process. So when we look at steps like the environmental permitting process and things like that, that's what comes into play there. A little more detailed on the project design. The existing one-way stop intersection, we're proposing to build a single lane roundabout. So not sure if you're familiar with the new one out at 152nd, but this is going to be a smaller version of that ideally. So there is some major stormwater component in this project. You can see that larger green area on the bottom left. That's going to collect the stormwater in the area and treat it. So that's an infiltration facility that treats the water before it goes into the ground. You'll see kind of the curvature, the chicanery that enters the roundabout. And that's kind of one of the traffic calming design efforts there. So obviously safety in that area is a major factor in this project. So roundabouts statistically shown to reduce accidents. So this is funded by some safety improvement funding by the state. And this is what we refer to as a rural roundabout design as opposed to an urban design. We are trying to accommodate any future possible sidewalk extensions through that area. There is some extended shoulder that you'll see around the roundabout area in the white. And that is to accommodate any future pedestrian and bike traffic as well in the area. So the center of the roundabout, really not that big. We have what they call the truck apron or skirt around the center of the island there. The island itself is probably maybe 12 feet or so, somewhere around there, give or take. Don't hold me to that, but it's much smaller than the one that currently built out at 152nd Street. So The blue lines there, those are the right-of-way lines, existing right-of-way. So that is currently county's right-of-way area. Some of that was purchased maybe about 20 years ago or so for a previous project that was going to involve a stoplight, I believe, there. So we're able to utilize a lot of that existing right-of-way, so we won't have to purchase much more beyond that. You can see where it extends beyond the blue lines. That'll be the area that will be needed. We're currently approaching the 65% design, so that is what where we're headed. That'll be submitted next week, and then that kind of begins our permitting process with a lot of the environmental permitting. So that is going to really dictate kind of when construction happens. There's a lot dependent on the biological assessment and opinion, and that will determine on some of the additional reporting and environmental work that needs to happen. So ideally, fingers crossed, everything goes well. We're looking at late 2027 to begin construction. Ideally, that is ideal, but most likely looking at 2028. We'll see most of the construction out there. Again, we're really early on, so 65%. We have an estimated cost of just over $4.6 million. 2.1 of that is through the county's local funds. And then we received a grant from the Highway Safety Improvement Program, and that's about a little over half the project, so $2.5 million there. So, this project is safety focused, so looking at roundabouts versus other options, stop signals, the current setup. So there's been a lot of research leading up to this project and why this particular roundabout was selected. There is different programs, safety improvement programs the county has where these were identified and ranked. So there is some history there in terms of crash data and traffic counts that also factor in the decision for this design. Again, my name is Paul Morin. Here's my contact info. This recording will be available on the website within 10 business days. There's an address there. Also, if you have any questions online, we can answer those now. We'll be available after this is over in the back to help answer any additional questions as well. But do we have any questions from online participants? Nothing online. Any in-house questions? I can bring the mic over to you. Anybody has any? Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering if we could, if we think the circle should be wider so that it would have to slow the north-south traffic down a little more. Because on the 152nd one, they're zooming through and not leaving enough space for the cross traffic to even enter. And that just happened tonight. We sat a long time, but I'm thinking if the circle was a little larger, they'd have to slow down to turn a sharper curve. Is that an option, and how would we let you know or support that?
Yeah, this is definitely an option. We can bring that back to the design team and get the traffic engineers' input on that. A lot of that design is also we have a lot of heavy haulers in the area. There's a lot of commerce and larger trucks that use that as well. So we have to accommodate some of that business. We can't impede commerce, so we have to allow for room for those trucks to kind of navigate those turns as well. But some of the other traffic calming methods they use are those curvatures entering the roundabout. So you might be able to make those a little more drastic so they're not driving straight through. And yeah, I understand. I've been in a roundabout down in the Washougal area where I've had to wait for 5 or 6 people before I could actually have my turn. Yeah, I understand. Any more questions?
I'm just wondering how long from start to finish do you estimate construction to be, or at least when traffic is not able to use it?
That is a good question. We currently don't have anything concrete on that. We generally like to do the work summer season, so we're not interfering with a lot of the school traffic as well. Ideally, we like to keep them open as much as possible and not do any detours. Full closures will be minimal. There will be some at some point, but we hope to keep them intermittent throughout the project. Total major construction would be probably a few months. Yeah, somewhere around there. Ooh, good question. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. So I'm just wondering why you're not making it the same size as the one on 152nd, because this is a growing community and that's going to only get worse. And I mean, I can't remember who I was talking to somebody, but they said based on the traffic and what goes through there, it's recommended to do a one lane. But even as she said, it can take a while to get on there. And if there's two lanes like out in Richfield, at least people have an opportunity to at least get out. Otherwise, people can still be just as frustrated and he'll still go zooming through. They go zooming through at 119th and 182nd. So is there, there's always a budget. I guess two lanes would be more, but it's planning for the future at the same time.
Yeah, those are all great points. We can definitely bring those back to the team for discussion. Why this one was smaller? I think it just meets the standards, right? So we want to accommodate the trucks, the traffic engineers. They run different simulations with different size vehicles. So you want to accommodate the best you can while trying to stay within the limits of design. So yeah, I agree. That would definitely slow things down for sure. But why it was smaller, I'm not sure. Any more questions?
Do you have any data on the rate of crashes on the roundabouts that have been installed within the last year or two?
Not personally. There is crash data available through WashDOT. They track those. It is available on their website. I don't have that off the top of my head right now, but I will get that to you after the presentation here. I can get you that info. And they track it, all crashes through you can go back as decades. So back, yeah.
So your cost right now is at 4.6 mil. My question is, the state has given you 2.5, correct? How can we begin as taxpayers? Um, is this going to stay? You're looking at a late start at best case 2027, possibly 2028. Is those costs going to rise, or are we fixed? Are you fixed on that number?
Not at all. No, this is a very preliminary number. The grant number is solid, right? So that's been awarded already. Like I mentioned earlier, we're at the 65% design mark. So that's really early on in the design phase. As the design milestones progress and we get to the 90%, the 99%, and then the final PS&E, so that's your plan, specs, and estimate, you get a much more dialed in number for the total cost. But this is very, very preliminary based on some past costs and expenses we base a lot of that off of, which traditionally recently have been rather high. So if anything, I would say that might go down based on recent bids. Yeah. Any more questions?
You said there's going to be guardrails.
There will be some guardrail.
Is it like going to be on Ward Road, or is it also going to be on the curve coming up Davis, or do you know?
I believe it's the southeast. Yeah. Yeah, so there will be some. The question was, will there be guardrail? So currently, plans for guardrail on the southeast side along Davis. The slopes around the planned design are at a ratio where they won't trigger guardrail. So guardrail is dependent on the slope around the area. So ideally, with the slope of 3-to-1 and 4-to-1, you won't need the guardrail in much area. So it won't be a steep drop off there. Thing with guardrail too is it does protect you from going over usually, but some people still drive through those and then you end up having to replace the guardrail as well. So we try to avoid guardrail as much as possible and try to just have a more gradual slope on the curb and the shoulder there.
Ice and snow, which we really get, but we get it. So when people are coming down Ward Road, if they slide off, it just won't be as deep for them to go. Because they will slide off.
Yeah, accidents happen.
It won't be as bad. It's going to be a gentler slope. Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct. Yeah, it'd be a minimal slope, so guardrail wouldn't be required. No, it's gradual as well.
Unless it's snow, maybe not. But like right now, if you went off the edge, okay. But in this case, slide off, you're not going to fit on your side.
Yeah.
The everyday driver wouldn't be able to.
So basically, be just like it is now. It's just going to be a wider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can kind of see the black line. They call it show where the black line is where the blue is versus where the white is. On the other side of the storm water, and it's on both sides. So that would be the existing ditch will go on the west side of the storm pond. So we won't have that very large ditch that people get caught in right now. And then the southeast side, it's going to be much further away from the road. Right now, it's right on the edge. You catch an edge and you're in that edge. So this will be much shallower of a slope, and then the ditch will be beyond that. So you're not going to can't fail statement for everyone to make it hold to that ditch, but it's going to give a much flatter area.
Thanks, Heather. Yeah, she's mentioning like you can see the lines here, topographical lines. They're a little steeper on your left side. So, yeah, if you hit guardrail, less chance of driving out of there probably as well. Any more questions? All right, like I said, we'll be around to answer any more questions, talk about the project. You can reach out to me anytime throughout the next couple of years, ask how it's going. There is information available online. So thanks again for coming, and thanks again for all county staff and Heather from McKay Esposito for joining us this evening. Thanks again.
Karaoke time.